Hi class, we're going to try something different today. I've noticed that your tests have been reflecting of missing simple things, and I don't understand if maybe you're just guessing or you're not really reading your chapters. But I think we're going to give this a try. So I'm going to start off with reviewing chapter 6, what makes a teacher effective. The chapter in itself is going to introduce the perspective of understanding theory and how to interpret that, which will make you an effective teacher. Now, um, the author states, nothing is so practical as a good theory, meaning you do need to understand what makes a teacher effective. Then that way you'll understand when you are in that position. Reflective teaching involves the use of theory to determine if the effectiveness of the instruction, what you're teaching, is well, or do you need to find ways to improve it, obviously. So, with that being said, let's move forward. Effective teachers always need to be asking, what am I doing and why? Can I change this? Am I understanding my Common Core? What does, for example, a third grade teacher need to be teaching in certain subject areas? How can I better meet my students' needs? You need to understand what learning styles, for example, uh, are. I think that is not always taught, but I think that once you understand how you personally learn and you understand how others in your class, in a perfect world, hopefully they can all be read and write learners, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Think of how you learn, and how you learn is how you're going to put forth that information. Being said, not everybody is a visual learner, not everybody is an oral learner, read and write, or kinesthetic. If you just notice, I just spelled VARK, visual, oral, read and write, kinesthetic. If you Google VARK learning, you can take an assessment and understand how you have been learning and maybe apply how you study and you learn. Then that way it makes learning easier. As well as you, now that you are becoming a teacher, or hopefully in the near future, then you will understand and apply that to what you're teaching and how you're teaching to better meet your students' needs. What are some of the alternative learning activities to achieve the goals and objectives that you set forth for those lessons? Are you actually just giving worksheets and individually quiet time work? Because that's not how we all learn. Are you making activities fun and engaging, positive? Are you doing group work because others learn from others? Whether or not a lot of students at this age that you are in college and learning, group work is sometimes difficult, for example, but not in a classroom setting. Very different from being online, but very essential to working with others. And like I said before, those are important characteristics that employers look for in employees. How could I have encouraged more involvement in my class or learning on the part of the students? Are you carrying forth? Are you providing different avenues for students to learn? Or are you only doing one way? You have to understand and be able to reflect on that. All right. 3 stages of decision making. So in order to be effective, you need to plan out, you need to implement, do, and you need to evaluate, rehash, review. Did it work? Did it not work? Now, when it comes all together, the aspects of reflective decision making has to do with the teacher's attitudes. Are you fostering learning? Are you developing human bonds in class, establishing rapport? Are you understanding the subject? Do you really have a hands down? That's why liberal studies is multiple subjects. Do you understand the theory behind it? Can you make it as real as possible and practical for the students to make reference, right? Teaching skills. Are you promoting student learning? Are you making it positive? Are you engaging students? And here in this graph, you'll see how the author has made a really nice chart on how you can see that it all comes back to the same thing. Plan, implement, evaluate. Instructional decision making has to do with your attitude, your knowledge, your theoretical knowledge, your personal practical knowledge, how does you make it real, and the skills that you are teaching in order to promote student learning. What attitudes does the effective teacher possess? Well, attitude toward self. If you think highly and proud to show that you can reflect and study and participate in any observation, then that makes you effective because you're putting yourself in their shoes. Is the attitude toward children. Do you love children? Do you have a positive? Because I'm telling you right now that if you do not like children, then maybe you need to rethink the major. Do you have high expectations for students? You need to make it challenging. Examine your own negative attitudes and make sure that you leave them and check them at the door, because remember, the students are with you for most of their day, for most of their week. So they will learn from you any of the negative attitudes as well. Attitude towards peers and parents. Do they hear you negatively speak about your other co-teachers, the other fifth grade teachers? And this is where group work comes in handy, in understanding and being able to work well with others. The attitude toward the subject matter. I can tell you right now that not my favorite subject is not science, but if I carry that forward, then the students might see that as a negative learning experience, right? Your enthusiasm has to be the same for everything. Obviously, you feel more comfortable in some things, but with practice, this comes forward. The teacher expectations are influenced by the race, social class, and gender, other teachers, and more, meaning that everything is intertwined. You may not know that sometimes you have expectations unconsciously and those are carried out. You need to understand that your communication skills are actually very well either written or verbally said to students. Is your effective student behavior and performance, meaning are you carrying out and making sure that your positiveness, your experiences are carried out and your students are learning from you, right? That is going to be kind of like saying, do as I do, not just do as I say, because that's, to me, hypocritical. What subject matter knowledge does the effective teacher possess? Well, obviously, you need to understand different structures of the subject, elements, the logic behind it, possible uses, and the social biases that affect the subject matter. And this is why you have to learn about geology, and you have to learn about biology, and you have to learn about all these other things, because you are teaching a little bit of everything every single day, especially in K through 8, right? Or K through 6. Curriculum content. You need to understand what the school and the district curriculum has set forth for that school, that whole school district, and what are the California core standards, right? The Common Core, what are those teaching expectations and so forth. That's why I gave you those two sites to download. The pedagogical content are the best practices for teaching certain particular content. That comes with practice, that comes with time, and you'll understand that more when you get to your university, whether it's San Diego State and you're in your student teaching, that you'll learn. You'll learn some of this by the observations that you'll do with your teachers in this practicum. Theories versus theory in use. Unproven versus your ideal basis as what you're learning. And then let me go back to that. Understanding the basis for hypothesis, further study research versus often unexamined but assumed true. This is what is commonly used here. And then going forward, I just want you to take some time and read this on your own. But these are different approaches to classroom management and how you can, what does this mean in school? And I listed it here in this PowerPoint because some of these questions might be on your quiz. I want you to quickly look at the group process here. just because recently we have a group assignment. This characterizes and originates from social psychology and group dynamics research, meaning that emphasis on the teacher establishing and maintaining effective productive classroom groups. The unity and cooperation as well as group problem solving are key elements. That is the purpose of you working together. And from now on at San Diego State, you're going to be in a lot of group work, especially in the higher learning classes of your degree. Guidelines for effective classroom teacher: establish rules and routines. Always be clear and precise, right? Simple words. Ensure students' compliance. Establish positive relationships, good citizens awards. Obviously, you want to promote getting along with others. Administrator: always do what I do and not what I say. Involves family, working well with family, having that inter-teacher communication, good policies with the parents, making sure that they understand the rules as well, right? Effective questioning techniques. Please phrase questions clearly. Link questions to lessons. Ask thought-provoking questions. Avoid the yes and no, right? Questions a range of students, balance volunteers with non-volunteers. That's why you have to call on others. Extend wait time. Be patient. Encourage students to respond in some way to every question. These I think are very important, and I think that once you're in a classroom, you'll see practice makes perfect, and you'll see how this works. Probe and provide feedback on responses. Don't just say, that's good, and move forward with the next lesson, right? Kind of give feedback, because the feedback is how they learn as well. And class, that ends our discussion for chapter 6. I am positive that once you start doing your fieldwork hours, you'll learn some of these theories, and you'll learn from the teachers that you're observing, and hopefully you guys have a positive experience. So now read the chapter, read some of the details on what the author has provided. Make sure you read your video case or listen to your video case, right? And that concludes chapter 6. So have a great day. Bye.